founder of DLA Knight. With me today, I've got Barry LaBov, and we're going to be talking about differentiation, the power of differentiation. Now, I know that Barry's has got a book coming out on it. We're now talking on the 18th of June, 2024. His book is just about to come out. He's actually coming to see us now, just before he goes off to the party. So, Barry, where can people find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn under Barry LaBov, or go to my personal website, barrylabov.com. So it's BARRYLABOV.com.
You have you must be one of the only Barry LaBovs. LaBov isn't a surname I see very often.
No, it's a very rare name. It is actually Ukrainian, Russian, Bulgarian, Romanian. It's a strange name. It looks French. It is not.
It does.
And through this process, Tim, I've met two long lost cousins who are in Los Angeles who pronounce the last name differently but have the same spelling. It's been a fun journey.
So remind us what the name of your the name of your book is.
The book is called The Power of Differentiation. Its subtitle tells the whole story, which is win, as in WIN, win hearts, minds, and market share. And it's all about winning the hearts of the people who work for you, so they actually feel like you care and they have significance. And then it's winning their minds, so they understand that what we're doing is unique and distinct. And after you do that, the market share will come. Your customers will feel it. They'll experience that.
So I'm 60 pages into it, Barry, and I'm really enjoying it. And for me, it's a kind of there's a time and a place, and it's in the right time and it's in the right place, which is everybody's looking for purpose. Mm-hmm. If you want to get anybody under the age of 30 working for you, you have to provide them with a purpose, whether you're making grommets or whatever you're doing. And what you're doing in the book is explaining. It doesn't matter how boring you think you are. This is a way of creating purpose, isn't it?
It is. And many of us think what we're doing is not special. We get so used to it, Tim, that we kind of go, everybody does it or whatever. But we have to step back and realize, wait a minute, there's some reason we've been in business. I mean, some companies I get to work for are over a century old. Some are 2 centuries old. And in some cases, they go, we're not doing anything unique. And I'm going, pardon me, you must be doing something of value, because you would be out of business. So it's up to us to discover that and then celebrate it.
Well, you point out in the book, if a company has been going for 100 years, it's how many, it's gone through pandemics, it's gone through world wars, and it's still come out the other side.
Right. And what's funny is it's funny you mentioned it. I talked with a client and they said, we're not doing anything unique, whatever. We really have a pretty lousy company, basically, is what they said. And I said, well, you've been through 2 world wars, the sinking of the Titanic, and 2, not 1, worldwide pandemics. You have to be doing something that has value. And we need to discover that. And you need to rekindle that passion inside your heart as well as inside the company.
Because one of the things that you talk about is about how do you discover what makes you unique? Because you talk about one person, I can't remember what it is, quite early on in the book, and the CEO, it's just, we just do this. It's like, I'm trying to remember what it was what they made, but I mean, you went through a whole process of actually finding about what made them unique, and when you talk to a whole bunch of people, they were very passionate about what they were doing.
Yeah, it was interesting in that case. I believe they were the heating and air conditioning company that was doing some very great environmental work. And yet their CEO just said, we just do HVAC, HVAC product. And I'm going, no, you're doing more than that. You're helping to save the environment. You're doing this. And their people understood it, but their CEO needed some help, because it was like, no, we're just building HVAC product and we're shipping it out the door. And, if that's the case, like you said early on, Tim, Today, if that's your message, you're going to lose your employees, either physically or certainly emotionally. They're going to say, I don't care. We're just building stuff and sending this crap out the door. Whereas in this case, they were actually doing something of great value for the environment. And many of their employees, interestingly, understood it, but the leadership was not quite there at that point.
So one of your first chapters is would you buy your own service?
Right. I worked with a company, a great company, one of our favorite people, and he said, I want you to meet my leadership group. So I did. I met them. It was a phone meeting. It wasn't even a Zoom or Teams. And they went around and explained the product and service. And one said, we're no different than anyone else. Another one said, well, we need to lower our price. Our product's very mediocre. Their manufacturing leader said, yeah, nothing we do is unique. And I said, after listening to this, I would have to say that not one of you would buy your own product. And there was some dead silence. And the leader, who's a great leader, said, that's an intriguing observation. And that's what we have to realize. It's so easy to downplay what we do. And I'm not trying to be a cheerleader, but I think sometimes you need to be one because you're doing something and you've got to identify it. And so often you're so close to it that you don't pay attention to it.
And I think I remember when I first went into sales, and I had I was very lucky. I had some mentors, and I said, so what is it that you need to do? And they said, you need to be different, which is differentiation. And I think that people too easily become commoditized, and they don't realize it, do they? So how is it that we maintain the differentiation, the uniqueness, and how do we make sure that we're different?
Well, my company has a differentiation, and that is we have a product we've created, which is called brand reengineering, and we have 5 steps. So we go through 5 steps. One of them, no company in the world, best I know, Tim, does this. Okay.
Right.
So the first thing we do, step 1, is we talk with humans. We talk with people. We listen to them. What makes this company different? And one thing that's important for your audience is we don't just say, okay, what do they need to do to get better? We say, okay, what do they need to make sure they do not change? Because think about that. You could have great intent as a leader and change a lot of things, including the few good things you're doing. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen. Then our second step is the unique one that no one does, and it's called a technical immersion. And we immerse ourselves in the service or the product. Often it's in person, sometimes virtual, but normally in person, physically there, looking at either the machinery, the processes, the technology, etc. What is potentially a unique differentiator? So we discover some candidates, as we like to call them, because we're only going to choose 3 to 5 of them at the most. We then take all that learning, we put together a recommendation. Then once we have a jam session, is what we call it, with our clients, because it's very collaborative, we then move forward. And that's when things like a website or the naming of a unique differentiator or possibly a new logo happen. But for us, that's step number 4, not step 1. And step 5 is very unique as well. And I've already covered this a little bit with you, but it's very emotional. And that is, you celebrate it, not just inform, you celebrate it with your people. Here's the thing we have to avoid as leaders. We can't go put a lot of time and effort into relaunching our brand or launching a brand new product only to have customers or community people say to your people, hey, what's this thing all about? And your people going, I don't know. Nobody tells me anything here. I mean, think of the colossal waste. So what you want is you want a team of ambassadors. So when somebody says, hey, Tim, what's this new product you guys are doing? You go, oh, let me tell you about it. It's really amazing. That's what we need. So that's the 5 steps. But you have to get inside and look at what you're doing with fresh eyes. You can't just say, what we do is no big deal, because there is something in there. There is magic inside what you do.
There's a bank in the UK called the Nationwide. And my girlfriend and I went in there, and my girlfriend said is always talking to people. She went to one of the people at the counter and said, "Oh, it's really exciting, isn't it, about your rebranding?" And she went, "Yeah, we got a sweatshirt and a drink, cup,
Yeah.
And she said, "So what's it about?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I just got a drink cup and a sweatshirt."
Right. It's the baseball cap and a coffee mug, and it's like,
Yeah,
get on your way, let's move.
yeah.
And the whole point is we have to explain to people, this is what's so key. We have to explain to people what we do that's unique. And this is a beautiful thing to share with your audience. It does not mean you're superior. It means you're distinct or different. So Harley Davidson, a wonderful company I've had the pleasure to work with, they do not claim they are superior in every facet of a motorcycle, but boy, are they unique. So what you have to do is share the uniqueness so that they can tell the story. And, like you said, Tim, I do think that's funny. You mentioned that when we talked previously, and I thought, it's so funny. I don't know the story of why we're doing what we're doing here at the bank, but I do have a coffee mug and I have a baseball cap. And it's like, okay, we missed the point. And you said it earlier, but we need significance. Our people need to feel what they're doing has some meaning. And if they don't feel that, they will leave us for 10 cents an hour more down the road. So we've got to hold on to them. And the way we hold on is with significance and meaning.
So you talk in the book also about commodity, and the fact that people tend to, in a way, you talk in the book as if it's commodity is a comfort zone.
Right. We call it the commodity monster, but it is a comfort zone because what you're pressured to do is to cut off and file off and sand off those unique edges that make your product what it is. And then you do that. And of course, you have to lower your price. And then you have to promise everything your competition says they'll do. So you do all these things. And all of a sudden, you've lost your identity. What you did that was unique is pretty much a lookalike. It's a Me Too product. Now, what do? Well, you got to lower your price and you got to go deliver it even quicker. And then what happens is that goes on, your employees go, you know what? They don't care about this place anymore. They don't have the passion. I'm out of here. And why, while I'm still here, should I even care about doing a good job? So guess what? Your quality goes down as that is eroding. So it's a mess. We have to avoid being a commodity. And to do that takes courage. You have to stand up and say, there's actually some things we do that are actually valuable and we will charge for them. We're not going to be, ogres about it, but we will charge and we should charge.
And that's about getting and lining up your purpose, your and saying, this is what our uniques are, or this is what we stand for in the marketplace.
It is. It's exactly that. We have to realize that we are not just another company. In my book, we talk about words that you don't want to use. Okay, I don't like the word just. We're just or we're a local, or we're one of the. I don't want to do that. There are 200,000 words in the English language. We can choose better words than just, or another, or a local. We have to be doing something that is important and it has a purpose behind it and a reason that gives us some sort of fulfillment. So what you said there is absolutely true. It can't just be another typical commodity. It's got to be something that is unique and can stand on its own.
But when you're doing this for clients, do you find that you get into a situation where they're looking for perfection rather than there's a saying, isn't it, print and be damned, like the 80-20 rule in terms of let's get 80% of it right, but do you find that people start trying to get the extra 20% and being perfect?
That's such a great point. Yeah, we call that the perfect trap, which is you try to make things perfect. I've had so many clients where I say, okay, are we going to get going on this? Let's do it. And they go, well, we're gonna replace our marketing VP. So it's going to take a little time, but it's going to be just great. And they wait and wait and wait and wait. And then they replace that person. And then all of a sudden the new person doesn't last more than a year. Okay, so they're out. And what we've learned is that if you wait for perfection, What happens is the world, everything around you changes, so that finally, when you mosey on along to doing what you should have done way back, it's all changed. The environment, the landscape has changed. It's far more important to do things imperfectly and be able to quickly tweak them or correct them than it is to wait for perfection, because perfection never comes.
And also, I'm guessing that these sayings irritate you, Barry. If I said to you, we're the best kept secret, or we're the sleeping giant, or things like that, do those sort of phrases irritate you, Barry?
Well, they irritate me, yes, because there are many companies who almost proudly say, well, we're the best kept secret. And the reality is, everybody, if you're the best kept secret, that's a shame, because you're not letting others know what you do, and you're not celebrating the uniqueness. And sometimes we'll work with a company and they go, well, yeah, but we don't want to brag. And we're going, it's not bragging if it's the truth. So best kept secret, if anybody out there's calling themselves that, they should slap themselves and go, okay, I got to wake up from it. And there are many companies that say we're a Me Too. We're a sleeping giant. The sleeping giant is the former successful monolith of a company that has now shrunk, and they're withering away, but they still have great potential. And when we start calling ourselves names like that, they're derogatory. And you think about the products you love. If you bought a brand new car and you love it, you don't say, oh, that's a sleeping giant car. Oh, that's a Me Too car. No, it's special. So we must treat our own brands and our own companies with that respect.
Yeah, I was. I walk. I run past a Ford truck. Now we don't. We would call them pickups in the UK. You call them trucks in the States. It's a big thing. So and we don't get them a lot, but here in the UK. But it is the person who's bought it. It will be his or her pride of joy, because it stands out in our little streets here in the UK, because it's so big. But Ford have been around for 100 years. This is a special automobile.
Well, what's interesting is we worked with a very wonderful client, and he called me up and said, look, we have a problem. We have a lousy, ugly car that no one's buying. We're going to replace it with a new version. And I said, great. And he said, well, you come in, we need help because morale is terrible. Well, we did a little research, and I sat down with the president of the car company and I said, hey, before we start, I have one question. Do you know what the brand name is of the top selling car in your segment? Do you know what car it is? And he said, I don't have the foggiest idea. I said, well, I'll tell you. It's that ugly, no good, crappy car that no one is buying that you sell. And he said, we've been number one. I said, you've been number one for 10 years. And he said, we have been denigrating our own product. We've been making mockery of it. And what I've done is he said, I've taken away pride that people should have in representing a top car. He said, now we're replacing it. We're upgrading it. But from this point on, he said, I promise you that we're going to celebrate this car as we launch its predecessor, its replacement, basically, not predecessor. And it's so important to show respect and honor that product. And that's what you're talking about there. It's a point of pride.
You also talk in the book about a particular situation where you were brought in to look at a particular Volkswagen car. And you were told, can you find out what's wrong with it? And you and what was wrong with it? It didn't have a glove compartment.
Right. It did not have a glove compartment. So the client said, okay, I want you to go find something. And we're going all over the car. It's a good car. And all of a sudden we go, wait a minute, where's the glove compartment? And he goes, that's it. And he said, now, how in the world are you going to sell a car that doesn't have a glove compartment? And, we found out that it had been a mistake, that the brilliant engineers at VW, who want everything to be super safe, had created this incredibly safe cockpit inside the car. But the problem was they forgot that they needed to replace the glove compartment. So they had taken the glove compartment out, put a lot of reinforcement in, and shipped about 80,000 of them on boats to the United States. So we had to find a way to tell that story. And it was literally one of the most safe cars you could ever experience. And then we found one funny, and it was a magical moment that the client told us about. And that is, there was only one other car on the market at the time that did not have a glove compartment, and it was a $200,000 Mercedes. So not only did we have a safe car, but we had the same situation as a $200,000 car. We had no glove compartment.
Barry, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your experiences and your book. Remind people the name of your book and where they can get it.
They can get it on Amazon and throughout all the booksellers worldwide through Simon & Schuster. It is called The Power of Differentiation: Win Hearts, Minds, and Market Share.
And where can people find you?
Find me at barrylabov.com or on LinkedIn at Barry LaBov.
Barry, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today. It's been fascinating and insightful. Thank you so much.